Welcome back to your favorite podcast, Two Qs in a Pod, joined by my co-host John Webb. How are we doing today, my friend?
Man, it's an honor to be back. It feels like it's been forever since the last time we got to talk football. We've tried with some other things, but it's just not the same. So it's just great to see you back on the TV and to be with you, my friend.
Absolutely. Couldn't have said it better myself. Yeah. First off, have to apologize for not getting an episode out last week. That's what we're doing here, making sure that we have a product for our listeners out there so they can go about their sports investing the best to their ability. And we'll kick it off there with a recap of week 0 and week 1. John, talk to me. How was it?
Yeah, week 0 for me was a little bit better than week 1. I'm going to let you talk a little bit more about your week 1 because it sounded pretty special from everything you shared. But, week 0 was a blast. I just having, again, football on the screen was great, starting with the Ireland game, Iowa State, with a great win there. That was a wonderful underdog first pick there. And then, I've never been more glued into Stanford versus Hawaii and Idaho State UNLV than in week 0. So it was wonderful. I won't say there was a whole lot of great football, but that's what you expect in week 0. And then to kick off week 1, South Florida, probably one of the more impressive performances of any team on that Thursday night football. Home against Boise State. It was so good to see Byron Brown, their quarterback, back in action. He was a fun guy to watch, and he's a great player. So I think that was a shock for a lot of people. Obviously, Boise State coming off a pretty good run last year. They lost G&T, but what does that mean? Clearly a lot. So that was a great start.
Yeah, I agree. Byron Brown's a great player. I think in 2023 he had a phenomenal year. Last year, he battled some injuries, so I'm excited to see him back on the field, and I think took a lot of people by surprise as they were underdogs that you mentioned. I, for one, did not get to watch much college football in week 0. I heard that the Iowa State-Kansas State game, they didn't have end zones for a portion of it. I think there was a massive rainstorm before, and then they weren't able to repaint the line, so I'm not sure what they did there, but I saw some funny memes on Twitter. Fast forwarding to week 1 this past weekend, yes, South Florida was a phenomenal way to kick it off on Thursday. There were some good matchups. Surprisingly, East Carolina kept it close with NC State. That was one that I was watching. Saw that Nebraska-Cincinnati game was a close one, which was a fun one till the end. And then
very unsurprising. If you know anything about Nebraska and Cincinnati, they're both just good enough to hang in there and just bad enough to blow every game. So it's who can not blow it the worst, and Nebraska finally found a worthy opponent.
Right. Yeah, that's the tale of both of those programs. And then fast forward to Friday, went 1-1. I ended up on the Baylor Bears. They're at home, a 2-point underdog, opened up. Majority of the people, I think bets were kind of split between Auburn and Baylor, but kind of just felt like the right play. Baylor had returned a lot of starters. Similar to that story, I was on the Yellow Jackets, Georgia Tech against Colorado, which, again, it was just more of a veteran play. I like Haynes King a lot. I know Caden Salter is a great quarterback transfer from Liberty at Colorado, but I just figured it would take a couple games for him to get his feet underneath him with a new offense, new receivers. So was epically wrong in the Baylor-Auburn game. Auburn dominated that game from the first snap, and then Georgia Tech-Colorado was back and forth until the end. Late touchdown, which I'll let you touch on. I know that kind of broke your heart. All I needed was a field goal, so wish it weren't so.
Yeah, so Friday night was a tough one because obviously that was a bad beat, and of course I'd rather the bad beats get out of the way early, so we got one of them there. They break a 50-yard touchdown run when they're really just trying to run out the clock, kick a field goal. Spread was 3.5. It would have been great losing by 3, but this is, and then Baylor Auburn. One, I'm frustrated by Baylor's ability to make an adjustment. I still think their offense looked pretty good. I think Sawyer Robinson is a great player.
He threw for 400.
But yeah, Baylor was really frustrating for me. Their offense, I think, did enough to win that game. I thought Sawyer was phenomenal, and I think their offense is the best in the Big 12, and so I think they're going to be good. Their defense did not make an adjustment for at least 3 quarters. You've got a quarterback in Jackson Arnold, a transfer from Oklahoma, I believe, who really has never shown anything through the air. and I think by the mid third quarter or fourth quarter, he had under 100 yards passing. You just can't let an offense become one dimensional and succeed. And I think that Baylor has the athletes and the talent to be able to stop the run, but they did not make adjustments by putting enough guys in the box. And that's where it's just a fundamental error, in my opinion, that frustrated me. That, you could have made the game. I'm fine with putting everybody man press and saying, go beat me, for a quarterback who's never proven that he can and a quarterback that prefers to run. And they didn't really do that until late, and so they could never come back. It was frustrating.
Yeah, giving up 38 points to 108 yards passing is special.
Shouldn't be allowed. And yeah,
it's criminal.
It's bad. It's bad. So
they
definitely
the
have
Baylor
some.
Auburn
Yeah, they have
game.
some things
It
to
was a
fix
gross
there,
game.
but they will.
Moving on to Saturday. Yeah, it was a phenomenal day. Started off with Ohio State, Texas early. Just kind of went with my gut there. The home team, basically a pick 'em, really good defense, facing redshirt sophomore and Arch Manning, who hasn't made a career start specifically on the road, let it alone be in Ohio Stadium. I went with the Buckeyes. That was one of my more favorable picks on the day. I'll save anything later in the day for when we get there, but what were your thoughts on that Ohio State-Texas game?
Yeah, I think once again I was a little disappointed in the quality of football, and not necessarily from the players themselves. I would argue it was more so it was a vanilla game plan from both sides, and I don't know if it's maybe they trust their defense so much, maybe it's they know they have two pretty inexperienced quarterbacks. I'm not sure what it was.
I think that's certainly got to be it. You don't want to turn the ball over on your side of the 50, knowing that if we can just get to fourth down and punt the ball, they're still going to have to go 60, 50 yards against our defense. So I do think they kept it vanilla. Both offenses did, at least for the first half. They started to open it up a little bit, and Arch made plays at the end. But from that first snap, you know that they run that every day in practice at least 4 or 5 times. It's a roll right corner. They probably even asked Arch, hey, what's your favorite throw? What do you want to make first play of the game to get you involved? And he threw it about 5 yards short of the tight end on a corner route, roll right into the dirt, and I knew he was just not ready for the moment. So I think they also, the coaching staff may have seen that and said, hey, we've got to change our game plan because we're not who we thought we got out there today.
Yeah, well, and maybe that's right. It's just hard when you think about both those teams with the weapons that they have. Neither of those teams, I don't care who you're playing, should be scoring 14 or fewer points. Ohio State has maybe the best receiving core ever. Texas, just continues to reload with great athletes and obviously have a potential top draft pick in quarterback. And I know a lot of that is untapped potential. We really don't know, but I would love to see a coach put more faith in their quarterbacks, and I'm talking about both sides of the ball or both teams there, and let them take chances early and just get the offense going. It felt like there was a lot of conservative play calling, and I don't think that's a great way to warm up a new guy in a new system. I prefer them to do some different things. So I wanted some better football. I don't think either offense won that game. Texas obviously could have easily scored on 4th and inches, and they didn't, and that's the difference in the game. So I didn't take much from that one.
Yeah, 2 years in a row they got stopped 4th and short, couldn't get it done. I mean, last year Texas had the goal to go to win the game, and
don't remind me.
I think it was Jack Sawyer strip sack.
Don't remind me.
So we'll fast forward though to other games that happened this past weekend. So I was on the S's. I jokingly told my buddies I'm taking OSU, LSU, and FSU. Had a money line and spread. It turned out to be a really good weekend. My train of thought on both of those, LSU 4-point underdog. I mean, I liked Clemson last year. I know Vegas kind of bakes that into their line, is they are always favorable towards Clemson. And so when that line was 3.5, 4.5 for the game, I just thought, hey, I'll take Garrett Nussmeier over Cade Klubnik any day of the week. Similar story in the Florida State-Alabama game. I don't believe in Ty Simpson. He impressed me. He played better than I gave him credit for. But again, I think that Tommy Castellanos, transfer from Bill O'Brien's offense in Boston College, did a really good job leading that offense, and it's a totally different program this year, especially when you have a quarterback. I am baffled at the amount of head coaches, general managers, athletic directors that go out there without a stout quarterback and think they're going to win games. It is impossible to do. I think it's one of the most important positions in sports, and if you don't have a quarterback, you can't win games consistently. And unfortunately, that's what we're going to see from Alabama this year. Without Nick Saban, nobody's afraid of them, and that people are going to pin their ears back and come after Ty Simpson.
Yeah. I mean, I think you're right. I mean, just starting with the Florida State game, I think Florida State called a phenomenal game. They knew their offense. They ran it really well. And I think it's very clear that Castellanos is a great player. And we saw it in Boston College. I think we loved Boston College a good bit the last couple of years, and it was
Right.
strictly because of him. I know you like Bill O'Brien, but I think he was impressive. I think Florida State is better than people give credit for. Obviously, they had a terrible year last year, but they totally reloaded. And I wouldn't say that Ty Simpson necessarily looked bad, but it's just a different Bama field than you've ever gotten. They seem vulnerable, and people are confident when they play them, which is not what used to happen. So, again, impressive for Florida State. Yeah, not that impressive for Alabama, but it is a tough road game to start the season with some new guys, and we'll see if they rebound. I think it's just the same old story. Basically, ever since Trevor Lawrence left, Clemson has been the same team. They've had a great defense. They've had an offense that people go into and they think they've got a bunch of hype. They think they've got a good quarterback, and I like Cade. I actually think he's a pretty good player. I don't know what it is. I think maybe they're a little conservative in their system too all of a sudden, and then there's a lack of confidence in the offense, and they rely a little too much on their defense. I was very disappointed in the product that they put out on the field on offense. I still think they should have won that game. Their defense was incredible. I think holding that LSU team to 17 points is really impressive. If you would have told me that before the game, I would have tripled my bet on Clemson. But I'm glad I
Good
didn't.
thing no one told you that.
Yeah, no one told me that one. But I'm going to bring up one more game. A team to watch this year is the Utah Utes. They have one of my favorite quarterback transfers, probably one of the best athletes, I think, in college football. He was the quarterback last year, I believe, for New Mexico. Dampier is his last name. Watch out for him because he's a great athlete. He can throw the ball pretty well. I think he ran for 1,200 yards last year, as well as throwing for well over 2,000, and that's in the New Mexico system. Imagine what he can do with the offensive line of Utah and the game plans that Utah has. Watch out for them as one of my dark horses and a team that's probably picked often.
Yeah, they put it on UCLA.
Yeah.
I was expecting big things from UCLA and Nico, but honestly, Nico got outplayed there. Dampier had almost 100 yards rushing and 200 yards passing, so phenomenal game from him.
Yeah.
The only game I'll highlight on Saturday is shout out to the Rice Owls. Scott Abel got his first win. 13-point underdogs on the road at Louisiana Lafayette. It's a phenomenal first game. Welcome to the program, Coach.
Wow. Hey, clap it out for Coach.
So we'll fast forward to Sunday. We had some good games.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
That's what I was
Do you
going
have
to say.
anything
Yeah,
else on
Sunday,
Saturday?
just real quick, South Carolina, Virginia Tech. I think that's a bad beat for Virginia Tech bettors. I think the game was a lot closer than the score was. Virginia Tech was down 3 with the ball in the fourth quarter, and they then have a terrible penalty against them. I think it was a personal foul that was just stupid, and they are forced to punt. They punt. They have a penalty on the punt. They have to repunt, and then they return that for a touchdown. And then they go and, I believe, kick a field goal instead of scoring a touchdown once again. And then they immediately allow a 65-yard touchdown the very next play. So the score is not representative of what was actually happening. But, again, Sellers is a superhero. The way that he closed that game out, he continues to amaze me. I don't know how he's as strong as he is. But South Carolina did look good. They didn't look as great as people think. And I think Virginia Tech actually looked a little better than people expected. So, Vandy's got a tough one this weekend with that. And then
Go ahead.
We'll get to that. And then I was just going to say Miami. Performance of the week probably goes to Miami. I think people realize that Carson Beck is a little better than they gave him credit for. And he came out and he made some young guys look really good. They made him look good too. But to play in a little bit of the rain in a new system against Notre Dame was a very impressive win for them.
Yes, it was. I think they looked great. And I going back to our recap of Saturday, I was sent a statistic, and check me if I'm wrong, but Nick Saban lost in 17 years 4 times to an unranked opponent, and Kalen DeBoer has lost 4 times to unranked opponents in 16 games.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a tough one, but they've played some pretty good unranked teams. I mean, Vanderbilt's about as good as it gets, and then FSU. I can't even name the rest right this second, but that's a good start.
Yeah. If you're an Alabama fan, you can go ahead and stop listening now because it's probably going to be a rough year. Anyways, at least you're not a North Carolina Bill Belichick fan. That was embarrassing on Monday night. Glad I didn't stay. I was back home with family in North Carolina. They all tailgated, went to the game, and I just had a bad feeling. I'm a big believer in Josh Hoover. He threw for 3,900 yards last year. I think he's a phenomenal quarterback. And I think TCU isn't a team to watch. Similar to your take, I think that they're going to come out of their conference. They put it on UNC. UNC obviously did not look very good outside of their first drive where they did not get behind the chains once. Outside of that, they were not a good football team. So that's all I got for the recap. I'll let you spin it, and then we can go ahead and get into the next week.
No, I was just going to say, speaking of spinning it, Hoover can really spin it, I will say. I was impressed by the way that they rebounded. I think half the country was a UNC fan for about the first 7 minutes and hopped on the train, and that train immediately derailed. So it was tough to see. It was fun to see all the guys out there, MJ and Eric Church and all those guys. You know, Roy Williams, those guys, and they stopped showing them pretty quickly during that game.
I'll let you go ahead and get started with this week's bronze, silver, and gold picks, and then we'll get into the NFL.
Yeah, this week is usually week 2 is a pretty bad slate. I think this is one of the better ones. We've got a few great, especially Saturday night games. We obviously have an incredible game with Michigan, Oklahoma. I think that's going to be a really fun one to watch with 2 exciting quarterbacks, one of which is a young guy. One of which was a total gamer last year. I loved watching Mateer at Washington State last year. So yeah. I think he immediately has made Oklahoma a little bit more dangerous. So I'm excited for that game.
Transactions.
Yeah, that's. I think we can all agree that was a joke, right? But if he's got some picks, if he has some good picks like that and some insider information, you better hop on the pod because we'll take it. Doesn't matter how we get the info, we want it.
So is that what you're starting with? Is that one of your picks, or you're just highlighting that game?
That is one of my picks. I'm starting with my bronze pick of Oklahoma minus 5.5. I really wanted to just go money line on this one. It's grown a good bit since last week, and I think that's because Michigan didn't have quite as good of a showing last week as people had hoped against New Mexico. But Bryce Underwood's young. This is going to be a very hostile environment. I just think Norman, Oklahoma is a hard place to play, especially a night game, and really your first road away game. I just think it's going to be a really tough one. I think Oklahoma's going to be pretty fired up for this one, and I see them covering that one.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. I'll be on the Sooners as well. I think Norman's a tough place to play, as, again, Alabama fans found out last year. For my bronze pick, I'm going to go with the James Madison Dukes on the road at Louisville Friday night, so go ahead and get it in. And knowing that you'll have a winner Friday night awaiting you is a phenomenal feeling. I don't do that because I think Miller Moss is a great quarterback. He's transferred from USC at Louisville. I do that because I think JMU is a great program, and Alonzo Barnett, their quarterback, is, I think, a stud. I think people are going to find out about him. He is, I believe, a junior. He's sat behind a couple great starters, and so finally he's got the keys to the car, and I think that giving me 2 touchdowns on the road, I will take any day of the week for a program that is not necessarily that established in college football ranks since Lamar Jackson has left. So I'll be taking the JMU Dukes plus 14.5.
I'd love just having a JMU team in there. That's when you know we actually kind of know what we're talking about. We're not just picking the big games. We're picking the games that people don't really talk about as much. Well done. Hit me with the silver.
So my silver pick, contradictory to what I did last week, where, yes, there was probably some lines that raised eyebrows, but this week, Illinois Duke. Illinois is on the road at Duke. Luke Altmaier, great quarterback, veteran. I think Illinois is top 10 in the country or right around that. But for some reason that spread is 2.5 or 3, and it may be growing. But I'm a big believer in Darian Mensah, transfer from Tulane. I thought that was a huge get for Duke. So I was going to be a big believer in the Duke Blue Devils this year, and then when I took a peek at the lines for this upcoming week, I noticed that was very, very low. I would have suspected a 6.5, 7 point spread. So give me the Duke Blue Devils at home, +3.
I love that. You stole my thunder a little bit there. That is my gold pick. I'm fired up for that one. It's not every day you get a ranked opponent on the road playing a team that a lot of people think are not very good, and you get a little spread like that, a 3 point spread. It feels easy, doesn't it? So give me a Duke Saturday morning win at home. I'll be taking +3, but something tells me they're going to squeak out a win there.
I like that. We'll go ahead and, roll that into your silver pick.
Yeah, so the silver pick is I went back and forth on this one, and I'm going to give an honorable mention to the one that I don't mention here. So I really do want to take the Baylor SMU game. The problem is I love both teams.
I knew it.
And I don't know which one I love more. But I do think in terms of value, the value is on Baylor on the road there. So I think if you can still get it, I know it was at 4 a few days ago, maybe before the game started. If you can get it at 3 or above, I think it's a good option. But I think it's a 50-50 game, so you might as well take points and maybe some plus money there. But my true silver pick also goes against it goes against what I want to do, but I think it's the right thing to do. You have USF, who we just talked about, played great on Friday night. I think that a lot of people were impressed by what they do, and they think they might go into Florida and compete. And I saw some people saying that Lagway didn't play too well on Saturday, and so there's some doubt there. I think that Florida is going to come out and prove why they are who they are, and that they dominate Florida. And I believe that they will cover the 17-point spread. Give me the Florida Gators -17 at home against USF.
Yeah, I really like that a lot. See, that's the kind of way that we view these bets. A lot of the people are going to be looking at USF as a juicy bet because how good they looked. Look at me, I know sports, and then you get ransacked by Florida. Mm-hmm. I like that pick a lot. You know where I'm going to go with my gold pick, which may catch a couple people off guard because I really, really wanted to go with the Vanderbilt Commodores, and we certainly can talk about that game, but not as confident in them as I am as my Toledo Rockets.
Wow.
At home versus Western Kentucky, 6.5 point favorites. They had a good showing at Kentucky last week, had a really good chance to win the game. Big believer in them. I think that their quarterback, really good quarterback, Tucker Gleason, he's been there for quite some time. Toledo's always kind of been in my favorite of the Maction Tuesday night games, and seeing that they're 6-point favorites at home against a Western Kentucky team that's already 2-0, I will take them.
That's great. I love it. I'll join you on all those. I love that we're on the same side of a few of those. But I think that's a great slate. I'm looking forward to it. We didn't really touch on the Vandy game. I think that's because it's a pretty pick 'em line. And I really don't know what to expect. I honestly, if I weren't a Vandy fan, I'd probably lean Virginia Tech just because they had a below average showing against South Carolina. I think Drones is a great quarterback. I think that they're scary. You have to hope that Vandy wins in the trenches because that's I mean, if you can dictate that and make them a throwing team, maybe you have a little bit better of a chance. I do like that the spread is only 1 or pick 'em, whatever it is. But I think it's going to be a great game. I'm looking forward to watching that one. Obviously, my heart goes with Vandy, and I think Vandy's going to get away with it. But I'm excited to watch it.
Yeah, agreed. I think Drones is a great quarterback. I think Virginia Tech's going to be a good team this year. Outside of losing Tootin to the NFL, I think they've returned a lot of starters, and similar to Vanderbilt, should be a good game. Like last year, I think it went to overtime, and we snuck it out in the end. But we'll see now that we're playing in Virginia this year, see if the Commodores can go on the road and take care of business. I think this will be the first test, and we'll find out if Vanderbilt's for real or not, because they very well could be 3-0, 4-0 into the season.
Yep. Should we head to the NFL?
We shall. One of my favorite leagues to bet on, the NFL. I think there's a lot of money that gets thrown around on games. And so I think, yes, if you can find the right line or advantage, you can make some money here. So looking forward to week 1. We have a phenomenal slate for the NFL on Sunday, starting with your Cowboys against Philadelphia Eagles on Thursday night.
Oh boy.
Let's open up with that. I will be the first to say I'll be on the Cowboys. If you're going to give me a touchdown spread, division opponent, week 1, it's a no-brainer.
Yeah. Good luck to you. I'll be doing the same.
Since 2010, underdogs in week 1 in divisional games are 40-41. So a $100 better would be up $2,200 wagering on all the dogs to win. Cowboys plus 350. That looks great and juicy.
Yeah, I mean, you know me, I'm an anti-trend guy, so that stuff doesn't speak to me quite as much. But I do think it's a good spot there. I think the Cowboys are for the first time in a long time, a little bit undervalued this year. They lost Micah Parsons, which obviously when you lose a generational star like that, it's a problem. But they bring in a run stopper now, and I think I really do think that they're gonna have a little bit better of a time against the run. I think against the pass, it's gonna be tough. Really, I mean, everybody talks about our DBs, but you really win in the trenches. It doesn't matter how good your DBs are. If they have to cover for 6 seconds, they're not going to. If they only have to cover for 2 or 3, they don't have to be quite as good, and they can make some plays. So I'm curious to see how the run game and pass game on the defensive side go, but I think the offense is good. So all that to say, I will be on the Cowboys as well. It's going to be a great way to kick off the season.
Right. Fast forwarding, get a free game in Brazil on Friday. Chiefs Chargers. Any take there in Sao Paulo?
Yeah, I think I'm gonna make the mistake, and I'm probably gonna go against the Chiefs again. Obviously, I don't think either team is gonna really have a home field advantage. Maybe the Chiefs just because they are the Chiefs right now.
No, because they have Patrick Mahomes.
Yeah, and so I'm going to do what everybody tells me I'm an idiot for doing, and I'm going to continue to be an idiot, and I'm going to be on the Chargers.
Well, just bookmark this for next week's Epi, that John Webb is betting against Patrick Mahomes again.
I've fallen into this trap so many times. Eventually, I may be right, so I'm just going to keep doing it.
Or just eventually you stop betting the game and just watch it as a casual fan. But, hey, that might not be an option.
I don't know. I didn't know that was an option.
Well, you might learn a thing or two while Pat Mahomes is on the screen and you're placing wagers against him. That's just, it's silly, man.
But just speaking of the NFL in general, I know you mentioned how great it is. It's such a pure product, and there are no bad games. I mean, probably the worst game on the slate this weekend is what the Cardinals against the Saints, and I'm fired up to watch that. I'll watch anything. Raiders, Patriots might actually be decent. I'm seeing a lot of hype around the Patriots maybe being a little more decent than people think. I don't think there is necessarily a horrible game on the slate. I'm really excited to see how the Steelers come out at the Jets. Aaron Rodgers probably first game ever.
I don't know, man. I really don't have much interest in the Dolphins Colts. I doubt I'll watch a snap of that. And now Red Zone has commercials. That's
a mistake. Something tells me it's going to be minimal, but still, they had such a great thing going. You just can't mess that up, and I can't believe they're trying to change it.
Yeah. Well, I'll get on with another pick of mine in the NFL. There's a ton of good games, and I'll be watching all of them. But I think outside of starting with the Cowboys on Thursday night, I will be taking the Carolina Panthers on the road at Jacksonville as a 3.5-point underdog. I think Carolina is going to have a really good year, and I don't know that Vegas is going to reflect that in their lines, especially early on in the season. So I will be heavily favoring the Carolina Panthers, especially week 1 against the Jacksonville Jaguars plus 3.5 and sprinkle money line.
I love it. You know me, I'm a Panthers guy this year. I don't know if anybody in the world has ever said that, but
no, not since Dave Tepper acquired the team.
Big fan of Tet. I think he's going to be good. I think the offense is going to be better. Bryce Young is going to take the next step. I'm looking at two games on Sunday. The Lions at Packers. Packers being favorites at home. I like them as a short favorite, I think, against the Lions. I'm curious to see how the Lions will change with a different play caller and with a slightly changed offensive line. So I think that the Packers will come out of there and start the season 1-0. I'm
I'll
also
be on the
really
other side of
excited.
that before you get into your other game.
Yeah, go for it. Tell me
Division
why.
game, it's tough. So I'm not super strongly believing the Lions will come victorious after this game, but I do think that anytime you get Dan Campbell in a division game as an underdog, there's value in that line. And
Yeah,
I do think, yes, they lost their OC, Ben Johnson, to Chicago, but I think he got a little bit too much credit for last year's success. I think this team is very, very talented, and with Jared Goff playing some of the best football in his career, give me the Lions 2-point dogs on the road. And I don't know about Aiden Hutchinson, but if he's playing, great. If he's not, I like it even more because that line should probably be bigger.
fair point. Fair point. And then I'm going to say this: I don't have a pick for it, but I'm thrilled to watch it as a fan. Buffalo, Baltimore. I mean, in my opinion, the two best teams in that conference. And I
Yeah.
know what you're going to say is, did you forget Patrick Mahomes exists? And no, I didn't, and I'm going to be proven wrong again. He's going to go to the Super Bowl, but I'm just going to say it. I think those are the best two teams, and I'm really excited for that game.
Well, no, I'm going to say, did you forget about Daniil Hunter and Will Anderson? Because
You're
that's
right.
my team in the AFC.
You're
But
right.
yes, Patrick Mahomes is still in the league. I think Buffalo, Baltimore was what AFC divisional round or whatever it was last year. It was a phenomenal game. Came down to the last play. Ravens couldn't convert on a 2-point conversion. So that
Well,
one
they
was in the snow.
converted.
This one,
It just fell out of his hands. But yeah.
which means they didn't convert. Anyways,
I know.
that
Look,
game is in Buffalo. There will not be snow on the ground, so I'm really looking forward to it. Speaking of Bills, got Josh Allen in fantasy first time ever, so I'm pumped to have him as my fantasy quarterback. It's going to be fun watching the Bills this year.
Isn't it fun not having to worry about who your quarterback is, just knowing who's starting every week, not having to worry about matchups, just knowing it's going to be an easy, at least 25 points a week?
Yeah, I've never had that, and I'm really, really excited for this year. Really, I think it's week 10 the Bills have their bye, so that's the only week that I would need to stream a quarterback. But outside of that, yeah, really looking forward to it.
Yeah, that'll be a fun one.
Well, anything else? Because that's all I got for this week. I know, really, really excited to get back doing this with you, John Webb. I enjoyed our time together today. And any other final comments before we log off here?
No, I'm just, again looking forward to a great weekend of football. It's going to be fun again to have full day Saturday, full day Sunday, and a Monday night game. It's just going to be great to be back in the saddle. So I appreciate you. I appreciate everyone, and let's go have some fun this weekend.
Absolutely. Well, anchor down.
Anchor down, baby.